Morning, folks. How you doing? Actually, I'm going to turn this off because it's great for listening to things on, but it's not so great for talking on. I found that. So, Craig, it's a bit miserable today. Let me turn you around. Oh, really, really gloomy. Can't see the hills over the hill, and this is where we've come from. I'm taking it that the dogs are just enjoying all of the dew on the grass because I haven't stopped eating it. Come on, dogs. So, yeah, really gloomy. Really gloomy today. But that's all right. That's all right. I'm going to have a wee rant, I think, or a little chat anyway, about positive reinforcement. I was tagged in a post and sent some information yesterday. Some posts that have gone out about positive reinforcement and obedience isn't important with dogs, their happiness is more important. Come on, by a doctor. And I'm doing a doctorate and I kind of went, oh, really? Really? So, yeah, your dog's happiness is really important. We want healthy, happy, fit dogs. But we can't ever forget that, good boy, as part of having happy and healthy dogs, they are a member of our society. And a happy dog might be happy chasing sheep or chasing squirrels, getting its eyes put out by squirrels' claws, which is never a good thing. Chasing things, chasing children, biting children, all these kind of things can make your dog really happy. They can get all fired up inside of their prey response and predatory aggression. But the thing that makes, I believe, personally, the thing that makes the dog happiest is having boundaries. Because that's what they're hardwired to, is having boundaries and let me swap hands. So having some boundaries and spending time with you and being trained and having things to occupy the brain. So I was really surprised when I read this post that said happiness is more important than obedience. Because we do have civil and criminal laws pertaining to dogs. And if your dog breaks the law, or if you allow your dog to break the law, or as an owner you break the law, then that's potentially time in jail and a criminal record. And so for me, obedience is always key. But it doesn't mean you have to be, come off there, good boys. It doesn't mean you have to be growly or aggressive or any of that nonsense. You just have to have boundaries and reinforce the boundaries. Start when they're young. At the minute, I'm working on boundaries with little Emirates. So we just come into another field. Dan, do you leave that? Good boy. I did a retrieve the other day with the boys, and I sent them up into the woods up there, and they went along this track here, and then I also sent them through that path and down this track here and back. When they went out of sight, that's where they went. Morning, Lynn. Morning, Neil. Good to see you. So working on boundaries with the little Lynn at the minute, and he's ever so good, He now sits waiting for you to open the door without a command. I haven't told him to sit at all at the doorway. I've literally just used the outside of my leg to scoop him back, and then over time just not opened the door properly for him. And he's really funny now because he'll sit and wait for you to open the door, and if you don't open it, he leaps backwards and sits again, and if you still don't open it, he leaps backwards again and sits again, because he knows that unless he's sitting nicely, he ain't going out the door. And so we can put these boundaries in really young. He knows that he's got to settle down on his bed. on an evening he's allowed a bit of a hooning around. The dogs are being very good in teaching them their boundaries as well. We were calling Dante Smog for a week. Morning, dog's with me. Good boys. Go on, off you go. We were calling Dante Smog for a week because every time the puppy came in the room, he was going rah, 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 all the time, and hackles up. He looked like a little stegosaurus. Morning, Gary. How you doing? He was so funny. But you know, we really monitored the situation because Emrys is 7 kilograms and Dante's 35 with huge teeth. You know, he's a big, big lad, all muscle. Go on, dogs. And you just can't risk your puppy being hurt. But they have to put their boundaries in as well. You know, I've got my pack, which is me and Emrys, and me and Dante, and me and Spud, and then I've got another pack, which is me, Dante, Spud, and Emrys, and then, however, I divvy that up on the walk as well. But also Dante and Spud also need to have their boundaries with the puppy. And so that's what's happening at the minute. So Spud's gone from snapping and air snapping to just curling his lip a little. And that seems to be getting the message across to the boy. Come on. Dogs, sit. Good boys. Good boys. Dante, heel. Good boy, he's here. There he is. Come on then, Spud, let's go. Go on, off you go. So the other thing, as well as making them happy, I'm sniffing away, so I'm going to stop talking in a sec once we get down to the waterfall. In relation to boundaries, is just doing a bit of training on your walk. Letting them know that, you know, you're still in charge of the walk. Even though my dogs are having a good mooch and a sniff and a pee and scent marking and all of that lot, they've always got an ear on me. Because if they don't, I'll tell them off. And if they do, I'll tell them they're a good dog. So, the other thing that's on social media at the minute, again, with the Dogs Trust, which was out years ago, and I wrote an article on it on the CFBA site, is talking about positive only reinforcement and how positive only reinforcement is the way to go and how it's the only way to train to have a happy dog. But then later on in the same piece they say that positive reinforcement can lead to frustration and can lead to aggression to the owner, so maybe positive reinforcement isn't all it's made out to be. I used to teach look, we haven't had much rain, can you tell? Let's zoom in because you can see the slate underneath the waterfall, which is pretty beautiful today. Good lads. Come on in. So, years ago when I used to teach, Gary, I'm so lucky. I mean, look at this. It is absolutely stunning. This is only about 15 minutes away from my house. I'm so blessed. We bought the house because of the surrounding. We went for a walk and then we bought the house. Needed so much work, and we're still working on it. But this is what we bought this for, because of this. It is glorious. Absolutely glorious. So years ago I used to teach. Although I do talk about food training and I recommend food training early on with your dog, it's a lure. You start off with a lure. When your dog understands what's expected of it, you turn it into a reward, and then you phase out the rewards. If you want to get technical, intermittent reinforcement schedules, or you can just say withhold a treat every now and again, and then from there you go to distraction training with food. And when I used to teach, I used to say, if you're constantly feeding your dog every time he does something good, dogs, come on, if you're constantly feeding your dogs every time they do something good, the day that you don't have the food ready, it can all turn the pants. So if you think that you go and get and this is probably quite un-PC because we don't do this stuff now, but maybe it's, in the old days when I used to work in the office, you'd go to the Coke machine, you'd go to the fizzy drink machine, and you'd put your pound in, or however much it is now, put your pound in, get your can of Coke, or Pepsi, or any of the other flavoured cola drinks. How's that for PC? So you'd put your pound in, you get your can, awesome. Next day, you go, put your pound in, get your can, awesome. This happens every day. And then one day, you put your pound in, nothing happens. What's the first thing you do? Anybody who's listening or watching, stick a little comment up. What's the first thing you do when you don't get your can of Coke out of the machine when you've been getting it every day for a month? And I'm going to see if anybody responds, and then I'll tell you what I would do. But I used to use this little metaphor for positive training, positive only training where you're just constantly feeding the dog. Tip it over, yay, Mr. Mulvaney, awesome, shake the machine. Exactly. Kick the machine. Okay, kick the machine. That's exactly what would happen. You would get the machine, you would give it a damn good shake. You might thump it a few times, try and dislodge it, and then you complain to the management. And so this is the metaphor that I used to use for positive only training. And the thing is, it's a metaphor that I've seen happen over and over again. I remember years ago I did an introduction to gun dog training workshop, one-day workshop. And this lady turned up with, I think he was about a 10-month-old flat coat. And every time she put her hands in her pocket, if she didn't pull out a sweetie, the dog used to bite her, which wasn't good. I just need to get my dogs on the lead. Dante, let's just sort this out. I've got 3 loose dogs coming towards me. Dante, lead on. Spud, good boys. Right, dog tail. So I'm just going to put you down. Oh, there's a lot about me that, yeah, it does, Gary. Dog's heel. Right, I'm just going to turn you away from the track so I'm not showing this lady. Dog's heel. Heel. Morning. Dante, that'll do. Heel.
Heel top.
Good boy. Sit. Good lad. Good boy, Spud. Go on, enough, go. Yes, you were very good boys. And here. Go on, enough you go. So, yeah, it does say a lot about you, Mr. Mulvaney, actually. But at least you didn't say kick it like others. Let me just sort my knitting out. Come on, enough we'll go. So, this flat coat, every time she went into her pocket, if she didn't pull out the sweetie, the dog used to bite her. And she had bite marks all the way up her arm. And it was because every time the dog did something, it expected a sweet. And I said to her, you don't need to feed your dog every time. And she says, oh, I've tried that, look at my arm. And so I ended up having the dog beside me pretty much for the whole morning to give the owner a break, who was very tearful, understandably. And that was the result of positive only food training. And it's heartbreaking, because the guy who trained me, Noel, always used to say, and I totally agree with him, that once your dog gets over 4 months and they're well and truly in adolescence, really you should be food training as little as possible and only using it as a way of showing the dog what it needs, and that's it. Show the dog what it needs to do, get its nose working for you with a bit of food, and then as soon as it understands, switch on to the most important thing in the dog's life, which is actually you, the owner, and engage with the dog. Don't know what he's doing. Dante, leave that. Watch his face. What were you doing? What did you do? Hey? What was that about? Disgusting dog. Come on. So that was me telling my dog off for eating stuff he's not allowed to eat. Doesn't have to be growly or anything, but he needs to know that I wasn't happy with what he did. And that's what I class as balance training. But, Craigie, Dante. So I hope that makes sense anyway. There's a place for everything. There's a place for food, there's a place for toys, there's a place for no food, there's a place for no toys. But the thing that's key for me, as I said right at the beginning, is boundaries. What your dog's allowed to do, what your dog's not allowed to do. Reward the good stuff and discipline the bad. And you've just seen me discipline my dog. It's not like a mega thing, but he knows that I wasn't very happy, but because you could see the look on his face when I told him off. So that is my rant for the morning. I'm glad you like that, Gary, a good demo. It's great, isn't it, with the Coke thing, because everybody can relate to it. And you go, yeah, if I get that frustrated with a can of Coke, how frustrated is my dog? How frustrated is my dog going to get with me if I don't come up with the goods when every single time I've come up with the goods? Yeah. So they're about to go in the water. Dogs, this way. Yep, come on, Spud, leave that. So here we are, back on the little field at home. Have an amazing day. Enjoy whatever it is you're doing. And I hope I haven't sniffed too much, because this is very, very damp here today. Oh, no talking about control on leaders who went past. Oh, thank you. Yes, I always put my dogs on lead, Gary, always, regardless of who it is. Definitely Dante, just because he turns into a bit of a stegosaurus. Not because he's aggressive, but just because he gets so emotional. But Spud a lot of the time as well, just because big dogs tend to have a little pop with Spud. So yeah, lead on every time. So it's still pretty damp. We've got wood burners going, and it's pretty cold today. It's Braidwood School. Have an awesome day, whatever it is you're doing. I hope we get to see some blue skies, and if we don't, we just need to remember that underneath all that grey there is blue sky. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Take it steady, have an awesome day. Bye folks.